You're listening to Mouth Mentality, where we talk to everyday people about everyday food. Hello, and welcome to Mouth Mentality. I am your host, Chef Heidi Marsh. We talk to everyday people about everyday food. Today, we have a special for you. We're talking about Valentines. We put our love into everything we make. We put our love into taking the time to make the choices. What are we going to cook for our lover? What does it look like? What ingredients do we need? We pick out foods that will bring the chemicals between us. I remember getting together with teams of chefs to create that special experience for those who had reservations and those who did not. And I think about the time I worked at a jazz club and I had a really hard chef and he's like, Heidi, you're in charge of the béarnaise. And we're talking like 60 egg yolk béarnaise, guys. We're talking about gallons of béarnaise sauce for that main entree. What a lot of pressure, but I'll tell you, it's all in the wrist, right? I made that béarnaise and it didn't break, baby. Spicy and light foods were always on my menu. Spicy foods that don't overwhelm. I mean, you want to be able to kiss later, right? Don't go for the buffalo wings, guys, but maybe a little chili flake in your seafood linguine. I mean, let's talk about seafood. Oysters, supple, sensual, soft. The smell of the ocean, right? I mean, it's not every day you're walking through the grocery store and you see lobster tails, right? I saw them today. I mean, it's Valentine's week, baby. Let's get those lobster tails out. Let's cut that ribeye into a heart shape. Certain foods and shapes of foods are associated with Valentine's Day because when you think about love and the feeling of being in love, your heart's pumping, your heart's racing. You get the butterflies in your stomach, you get the desire. It's all feelings in your body. We might feel it a little bit differently, right? The excitement, the nervousness, where does that sit? The shape of a strawberry, right, is associated with the heart. The box of chocolates is in the shape of a heart for Valentine's Day because it's about getting that blood rushing, right? Getting that heart thumping for the one you desire, for the one you love. And then there's certain foods that have to do with texture. The oyster, right? It's plump, it's supple, it slides down your throat. There's no scientific fact that oysters are aphrodisiac. It's more about the texture. It's about the scent, the freshness of the ocean, right? It's an unexplainable feeling. If you've never smelt the ocean, walked up to the sea and taken a big inhalation of that, there's a love for that like no other, right? But then the feeling in your mouth, right? It's like making out. They say spicy foods are romantic. Capsaicin. It's the spice, right? It hits the back of your throat, the spice on your tongue. That actually triggers endorphins. I love spicy food. I just put hot sauce on my pasta for the only reason that I love the rush that it gives me, right? And it's all subconscious now. I just think I like the taste of it, but it's probably I like the endorphins I get from eating the spicy foods. Now, don't overeat the spicy foods, though, on that special romantic night. You don't want to feel too sick to get down and dirty, the burning mouth and, sweats and all that. That's not attractive, guys. A little chili flake, a little dibble of sriracha in your pho, Don't overdo it. I think the most overrated meal is having a big hunk of steak on your plate. I don't think it's romantic to just have this big cow carcass on your plate, right? And you're eating way too much. Stick with the smaller portions. Stick with something light. I love a good chicken involtini. You probably have seen the video going around. We don't need a big filet mignon or a tomahawk ribeye. You're going to get the meat sweats. You're going to overeat. Then you have no movement or energy for anything, guys, later. As a partner, I cook some Valentines. I've cooked many Valentines meals as a loving partner. I put a lot of thought and energy into what I make. And it really comes down to, what is my partner like? What does my partner desire? What are they craving? I used to always think, give myself the night out as a Valentine's gift. Go and make those chefs slough over my meal with my partner, wine and dine them, just really enjoy ourselves, enjoy our company. But really, when I think back, I think the most special Valentine's meal I've had with my partner was during COVID. There were no reservations to be made. There was no Valentining to go and do. We made a beautiful seafood buffet and we enjoyed it alla fresca on our patio together. It was a fantastic time. That was probably one of the best, most memorable Valentines in my life. As a kid, I remember the candy hearts. I remember the chocolate, and it's all the sugar. It's getting that sugar, getting hyped up, getting that dopamine going, right? I remember the candyogram, and who's going to send me my candyogram? Who's going to send me my Valentine card? Who's going to send me my rose? There were times when my Valentine basket wasn't as full as everybody else's. I think I was probably in third, fourth grade, right? I probably had a bad haircut. I probably smelled a little funny too. I was a smelly, funny looking kid. I remember a card that said, "Love Pedro," and you're like, Pedro? Like, you know who Pedro is. He's that kid that nobody really likes and, didn't have a good haircut. But it's still like you're flattered because this kid took a time to put a Valentine in your box and write it themselves. And it's like, well, at this point, I'll take anything I can get, Every year, my mom would get me the little Valentine cards with the little candies or the box. And I wrote a Valentine for every kid in the class. And I always got my teacher a special little something, and then I'd always bring home, they'd send you home with carnations for your mom. It was a really strong tradition for me growing up. But I remember school and Valentine's at school. And I think partly it was because I wasn't like the biggest Valentine. But I would get like the secret rose from a secret admirer. And I've had like secret Valentines stuffed into my locker. This is like junior high and high school, where you had like the rosagram, My first boyfriend, Lee, wrote on a Simpsons Valentine sticker, "Will you go out with me?" And this was like, I was like, absolutely, and we were the fastest runners on the track team. So it wasn't even like we had a romance going. It was more of like a bromance, but like me and Lee, we go to the Subway, I'd watch him eat his meatball sandwich. Oh, I had a crush on Mrs. Yates, and I had her for first and second grade, and she had the most beautiful feathered haircut. And even to this day, like, let's bring back the feathered haircut, guys. I'm working on mine right now. Mrs. Yates, ironically, her first name was Jody, which is my mom's first name, but Mrs. Yates, just a beautiful lady, beautiful brown eyes, and of course she got a Valentine, guys. Ah, Mrs. Yates. My wife cooks fantastic food. I had someone who cooked for me that didn't know you had to fry the chicken parm before you put it in the oven. I came home to a fabulous meal, beautiful flowers, chicken parm on the table, and I went to eat and I realized that we had some funny stuff going on. Some baked chicken parm with the breadcrumbs just rolling off of the chicken. And I laughed and I chuckled and I ate every minute of it. Because here's a person who doesn't actually know how to cook, who prepared something for me, and you could tell there was love and passion behind it, and they really tried. And sometimes at the end of the day, you can't go wrong if you just try. I think the most overrated dessert is the chocolate-covered strawberry. I have made a billion of these things. I have dipped them in white chocolate, pink chocolate, brown chocolate. I have striped them. I have tuxedoed them. I have made towers of them. I've put them on the side of a lava cake. I mean, you can't go wrong, right? It's overrated only because I've made so many of them. I never want to see one again. Will you be my Valentine? They don't give you chocolates, but they give you love and snuggles, and they're always happy to see you. If you missed Valentine, say you were working, say you just met somebody on Valentine, it's never too late to celebrate. If you're alone, take yourself out this weekend. Get that bottle of wine. Get that seafood linguine. Go stop and get some oysters at your local seafood mart.
Flowers.
Get some flowers. I can buy myself flowers. I can buy my cat flowers. Take yourself on a date. Call your friends. Call your best girl or guy or they friend. Go out and do something romantic. Show your love. Make yourself a nice brunch. And it doesn't necessarily have to be on February 14th. It can be any day. There's so many different ways to celebrate the love that you have for yourself. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment. Tell me about your most memorable Valentine experience. Were you alone? Were you with friends? I want to hear about it. I want to read about it. Like, subscribe, comment. There's many more stories to tell. Everybody has a story to tell. Thank you for listening to Mouth Mentality. Happy Valentines. Thank you for listening to Mouth Mentality. Catch us when we dish out the next story.